Two guys in their early 50s with one dream: to achieve middle-aged sporting glory. This is the Missing Links Golf Show. Oh yes, Andy Walker, this is the Missing Links Golf Show, and it is my strong desire that we would have a story to tell the pilgrims that we are actually getting closer to achieving that dream of middle-aged sporting glory. How's it going for you, Andy Walker?
Yeah, look, it's had its ups and downs, I must admit. I feel like it's closely resembling life itself, which you know, the old Bobby Jones quote, I think comes to mind. So, yes, seems to be very much aligning with that perspective at the moment.
Right, I see. You've got a few bad breaks from good shots. Have you had any good breaks from bad shots lately? I don't feel like you really have.
I don't know about that. Yeah.
No. Oh well.
Got a few bad breaks. I don't know if they're from good shots, but certainly I feel like I've had my fair share of bad breaks over the past sort of 8-9 months. But anyway, we'll keep putting one foot in front of the other and moving forward.
Now is not the time for misery and, kind of starting to feel like you're the victim. Now's the time to man up and look forwards, Andy Walker.
Is it just manning up, or do we woman up as well?
Keep person up. It's fine. Don't mind.
I mean, in today's environment of equality.
Not sure that that's a topic we need to go too far down the path of right at the moment.
Maybe we need to hue person up.
Let's just focusing on the future part of it rather than the gender related aspects, because there is quite a bit to get through, Andy Walker. There is quite a bit indeed. My goodness, where do we even begin? So, look, I think first things first, acknowledgement or just kind of putting it out there that the YouTube channel. Okay, we're very proud of we're not very proud of our YouTube channel. We'd like to be proud of our YouTube channel. So confession time. We've only uploaded videos up to episode 59 at the moment. So I've got a little bit of work to do in the backlog. But there's a bit out there. There's more to come.
What are we, 77? Aren't we? This is 77, yeah.
I think it might be, yeah. So we've only got 20 odd or 18 to upload.
Yeah. And when you say we, I don't really recall.
You haven't done a lot
doing
of it.
Too much contributing to that part. But anyway.
No. But this much I want to say, pilgrims, get on there, have a look. At the moment, it is wholly and solely our podcast episodes, but get on there, click the subscribe button, because we'd like to get a few subscribers on there. And what we would also like to do, news to Andy Walker, is to start to actually post some other content in that area that's not wholly and solely the video versions of the episodes, which is still incredibly fascinating.
Yeah, I actually have been watching some YouTube shorts, which I've actually become a bit of a fan of. So maybe we could do some YouTube shorts. What do you reckon?
Do we have to wear shorts to do that? Is that?
Look, I think pants are compulsory. Look, at the end of the day,
you don't have to. It just depends. Which box you tick on the content rating.
What we're doing at the moment, I guess, sort of like a newsreader would, in that no one can tell if we're wearing pants or not.
Is this confession time for you, Andy Walker?
No, I am. Yeah, but I technically don't know if you are.
I might keep the mystery on that one just for now. But no, I do.
Who would have thought we'd be talking about pants? I mean,
At least it's not Evel Knievel. So anyway, get on the YouTube channel. It's the Missing Links Golf Show. It's on YouTube. Check it out. Click the subscribe button. that would be amazing. So then you will get notified if and when we ever actually do post any other content, which we will aim to, because there's a few things we're going to talk about tonight, Andy Walker, which it is my desire to actually film a little bit of content and share that with the Pilgrims in the coming weeks. So there's that. So that's a little bit of a...
We do actually share a little bit of footage between us in just in our little chat group. So maybe we need to, rather than just share it with ourselves, we should throw it on YouTube as YouTube Shorts.
We will do that. Yeah, I've also I shared a little clip of some high performance center work on the Instagram channel actually during the week,
okay.
and that
how'd that go?
That went pretty well. I got a few acknowledgements from around the world from various people.
Nice.
Maybe Pilgrims, maybe not Pilgrims. I don't really know. So that was good. So yeah, aiming to do a little bit more. I'd like to tell a little bit more of the story visually of some of the development plans that we're working on and some of the things that we're trying to do to improve our golf, which is very much a theme for tonight's show. But before we get to that, couple of voices of the Pilgrims, Andy Walker. Excellent. For you. I know you love it. And the first one is actually, I don't know if I'd call this a voice of the Pilgrims or if I would call this a new segment, which we might call the Silence of the Pilgrims.
Right. Okay.
And what that's about is that you might recall in the last episode, Andy Walker, where we had a thrilling conversation about the Sydney Cricket Ground versus the Melbourne Cricket Ground as the home for Australian rules football.
Yes.
Where we are aware that we have quite a few Pilgrims that are south of the border down in Melbourne playing some of the fantastic sandbelt courses, I assume, as well as maybe some of the Mornington Peninsula courses. And we were expecting to be taken to task by our Victorian Pilgrims about our comments regarding the Sydney Cricket Ground. And this is where I find it interesting, Andy Walker. The silence of the Pilgrims has been nothing. You could hear a pin drop.
Right. Okay.
Which leads me to draw the conclusion that they all completely agree with our stance, that the Sydney Cricket Ground is in fact the number one sporting mecca in Australia.
So, and again, I just like to bring, your attention to when you're saying we. Again, I'm not sure if I was on that side of the conversation when it came to you saying how great the SCG was and the greatest cricket ground in the universe, but
I think you were. Have a listen. Go back. Listen to the last episode.
I'll have a listen.
Yeah, check it out. Okay. Pretty sure that you certainly weren't disagreeing. I'll tell you that much. So anyway, there was that. But moving on to the actual voice of the Pilgrims, we did have a message come through via the text message function on the last episode. Yep. And it was...
So does that mean we actually don't know who that's from?
We know who it's from.
Right, okay.
Long-time listener, long-time texter, long-time commenter, long-time critic of Andy Walker's opinion on Tiger Woods. I think you know who I'm talking about. Our very good friend Aris from Georgia, and he says, and this is interesting. I do want to get your opinion on this because, as you would recall, quite a discussion in the last episode about comments that you made in episode 75. I think it was now the Masters wrap up.
Yeah, the Masters wrap. Yep,
about Rory, but more in particular about Tiger Woods and the second half of his career post 2008. And obviously, Aris disagreed with your stance that Tiger went steeply downhill post 2008.
I didn't say he went steeply downhill. I mean, you're putting words into my mouth, I think.
It's what I do for a living. And he obviously disagreed with that and said that Tiger, post 2008, still achieved what would be considered standalone a Hall of Fame career.
And I don't disagree with that.
But rather than taking his feedback on board, you, as is your wont, decided to double down and continue to disagree and to continue to say that Tiger post 2008 was merely a shadow of his former self. I would mention that is words being placed in your mouth once again, and it's not necessarily what you said.
Yes.
Having said,
I mean, we're going to get to a stage where apparently I've said he's just a complete hacker after 2008.
you just said it, and I'm gonna chop that out and use that again in future episodes.
Yeah.
Could you actually just say that again and referencing the name of who you were talking about rather than just saying he?
No, I'm not going to walk into that trap, let me tell you. But I'm not convinced that the accuracy of this conversation so far. But
It's
proceed.
fine. It's fine. Anyway, getting to the point, Aris says via text, he says, I guess Mr. Andy Walker and I have to agree to disagree on Tiger Woods. Thoughts?
Oh, look, my perspective is that Tiger's first half of his career was significantly better than his second half of his career, and that's if Aris thinks that's in reverse, that it's either equal or better, then yeah, we will have to agree to disagree. But
At which point, this is the bit that I don't understand. The concept of agree to disagree. Obviously, it's a phrase that's commonly used, but at that point, are you agreeing or are you disagreeing?
well, you both, I think. So you're agreeing to disagree.
How can you do that? You're either agreeing or
Well, you
not.
disagree on the point, but you agree that we disagree.
Wow, I'm confused.
Hmm.
I disagree. Anyway, so there we go.
Can we maybe agree to disagree
No,
on that point?
I'm
then?
not. I'm not going to agree to disagree. No, I'll either agree or I won't. Anyhow, Aris,
So who do you agree with? Do you agree with Aris or do you agree with my good self?
now this is an interesting question, right? Because I agree. I agree with Aris when he says that Tiger Woods still had a remarkable career post 2008, and
I agree with that.
I agree with that, and I think he did. And I think I don't think that it's fair to be casting any aspersions to be saying that he went downhill or anything like that, which were in fact your words. However, I also agree with Andy Walker. Numerically, Tiger's statistics were not as impressive post 2008 as they were pre 2008. So I guess on that front, I will agree to disagree.
Or agree and disagree.
Yes.
I like it.
We got there in the end. So there you go.
You'd make a good politician. Have you ever thought about maybe running for mayor or
don't even
PM, maybe?
do not even have that conversation. So
Okay.
no, I will not be getting into politics anytime soon. Not a chance.
Anytime soon. Okay.
Anytime.
That's a door open.
Anytime at all. Anytime at all. Unless it's golf politics. I don't mind getting into golf politics. So yeah, PGA Tour, Live Tour, Scott O'Neill, Jay Monahan, give me a call.
Yep.
All right. So there's that. One other thing I wouldn't mind running by you, Andy Walker. You sent me a message during the week, which I thought was quite funny. So unlike you. And
I'm quite a serious character normally.
you are. And I did a little bit of research on it because I had heard of it, as you would have known from my response, which was simply, yep. And the question was, have you ever considered getting a grip fitting?
Yes.
So have you ever considered getting a grip fitting?
No, actually, I haven't. I mean,
Have you ever heard of a grip fitting?
not a grip fitting as such, but I've certainly played around with grips and the old just putting paper under double-sided tape and wrapping that around and seeing what feels good. Done a fair bit of that in my time, but not an official fitting as such.
Okay. I have seen different sized grips.
Yes.
And obviously the video that you sent me that prompted this had Bryson and Long John Daly
Yeah.
talking about.
Well, it was an interesting point that he made is that if you've got a gap in between I think it was certainly for a right-handed golfer, your right hand and the grip, the palm of your right hand and the grip. If there's a gap there at any stage throughout your swing, then you're not in control of the golf club as much as you should be.
Mm. I was a bit confused about that point, but I'm sure it makes sense.
That's how I took it, but I also only watched it once, so I didn't go back and watch it a second time. So I'll have to go back and have a look just to make sure that I was understanding it correctly.
Yep. I was not.
But I thought it was a good point, which is why obviously I sent it to you.
What was interesting is that both of them talked about the thicker the grip, like the fatter the grip, the better. Which seems to be a modern type of an approach. But anyway, the point that I wanted to make is I did a tiny little bit of research on this to try and understand this a little bit more, and I came across an interesting piece of information, and this is from one of the best golf grip manufacturers, in my opinion, Golf Pride. Do a lot of really good grips. Now, what they say, and they talk about grip fittings, they do talk about the fact that it's a thing and it's an important thing. And they say that they offer standardized sizes of grips in 5 sizes. So you've got junior, then this is starting with the thinnest and getting to the biggest. They've got junior, undersized, standard, mid-size, and jumbo. So 5 grip sizes. They say the majority of male golfers will fit into standard or mid-size. But where it got interesting is they were doing a rule of thumb how to fit yourself to the right grip size or grip thickness. So they did it in 2 ways. The first way is on glove size. So we'll talk men's on this. We'll talk both actually. So on glove size, if you wear a men's small or a women's small or medium, then your recommended grip size is undersized.
Right.
Then if you wear a glove size which is men's medium or medium large or a women's large, then your recommended grip size is standard. If your glove size is a men's large, then your recommended grip size is a mid-size. And if you're an extra large or double extra large or above, then it is recommended either mid-size or jumbo.
Yeah, right.
So that's one methodology. The next is they have a chart where they measure the distance from the first crease in your wrist, so just under the butt of your thumb, to the top of your longest finger, also known in some parts of the world as the rude finger.
Could be the middle finger, I mean,
the tall man. It's also called the tall man. Anyway.
Well, unless I know some people, their ring finger can be slightly longer than their middle finger, so it doesn't always work.
They're unusual. So anyway,
they are.
That distance, if that distance is less than 5 inches, junior grip. If it's between 5 to 6.5 inches, an undersized grip. 6.6 to 7.5 inches, a standard grip. 7.6 to 9 inches, a mid-sized grip. And if you are at 9.1 to 10 inches or above, like honestly, Michael Jordan, Shaquille O'Neal, that's about it. Jumbo.
Okay.
So I measured that just because I really wanted to go through the research channel. And I came in right on the 7.5 inch mark, which is the crossover between standard and mid-size. So I play standard grips. And what they also go on to say is if you're on that cusp, then you may want to use the smaller size grip, but fatten it out with the papers underneath, which is what you were talking about before. So there you go, Andy Walker. So where would you fit in the whole thing? What's your glove size? Probably the easiest.
Depending on the brands, somewhere between sort of medium to medium large is what I generally get into. So just standard
straight
grip.
On the standard.
And I did play around with having like two papers under my grip at one point, but just never really got that comfortable with it. So I've always just been a standard one paper under the grip. So yeah, I'm assuming that's what is the stock standard for most.
I think it is.
Most club manufacturers.
I think it is. So anyway, I thought that was interesting just to share. It's not a topic that I've actually ever really looked into before, and I'm therefore assuming that there's probably plenty of pilgrims that also have not. I've also noticed that the club pro at my club, who's been taking on my coaching role of late, Jake. He's lefty as well. He uses jumbo grips on his wedges.
Yeah, right. Okay,
so I wouldn't mind just maybe getting down there and having a bit of a crack with those and seeing what they feel like, because it seems to me to be quite weird. Anyway, a lot of people like
well, it's probably just taking the any wrists out of the.
Apparently so.
That would be the logical explanation if you just don't want any wrist hinge or minimal wrist hinge, I should say, in your short game.
A bad thing, actually.
Well, I mean, we've talked about the fact that with wedges specifically, I mean, I rarely take more than a 3/4 swing with a wedge. If I need, say, a full 58, I'll go down and I'll hit a 3/4 54 rather than a full 58. So again, I'm not having a full wrist cock, a full swing with a 58 anyway. So using a fatter grip, whether it be the jumbo or the size down from that, then yeah, I don't think that would make too much difference to those shots from those approach shots that I'd play. And if it's going to help around the green to make better contact, then I can see the advantage of it.
That's the thing. So that's what I want to actually have a little bit of a look at, because it might, for some of those shorter pitch shots, be actually really useful. Anyway, we'll come back to that topic in future episodes, Pilgrims, because I think there's a lot we don't know. It's only early days of looking into it, but if anyone knows more about it, please reach out, let us know, share your expertise. So, fantastic 22.5-minute intro, Andy Walker.
Excellent. Love it.
Could be a new record. But we're here tonight to talk about, well, you could describe this in a few ways. I like to think of it as some top tips to play your best golf, also dressed up as what is our kind of training and development plan look like at the moment, trying to break that down in ways that might help the Pilgrims work on their own games and maybe learn from some of the lessons that we've learned along the way. So how do you want to do this, Andy Walker? I've got a few topic areas. I'm sure you do too.
Well, I want to come at this from a little bit of a different perspective tonight, given my injuries over the past 9 months. I'd like to have a bit of a conversation about how I've managed the game improvement process whilst being injured, because I think it's highly dependent on the type of injury that you have, but I certainly still think that there are things that you can be doing while you may not be 100% and you may not be able to get out and play a full round of golf. There are still things you can be doing to be able to maintain a bit of an edge and perhaps even improve a little bit. So that's the perspective, given that's where I currently am. That's the perspective that I'm going to come at it from tonight.
I think that's an excellent perspective. And I think that also probably leads me to ask you the question of, do you have an update on the injury?
I do. So I've got the scans back. I've got the scan report back. Now I haven't had a chance to speak to my treating doctor. He's away on holidays at the moment. However, I've got a portal that I logged into to get the scans and the scan report, and I'm happy to say that there's nothing major that's wrong. So, and I quote, "There is no acute fracture or dislocation."
That's good.
They said there's a small amount of fluid in the first CMC joint. Now, the first CMC joint is that joint sort of that first joint at the base of your thumb. As it starts connecting to your palm, so there's a little bit of fluid in that, which potentially could be leading to inflammation. I would say that's my best guesstimate. They're saying that there's no bony changes identified, so there's no bone fractures or little bits of bone or deterioration of the bone, and pretty much everything else, is normal. So all the tendons, ligaments, there's nothing there's nothing untoward. There's nothing that's wrong as such. No tears, nothing that's really the matter. So yeah.
So are you banging it on there? Is that the story?
Well, yeah, that was the other thing that I did say when I mentioned it to you, is that there's nothing wrong with the bloke. So what's he going on about?
Was this just a way for you to not have to actually play in the Macquarie Cup? Was that?
Yeah, I was a bit scared from after last year. You got so close that I didn't want to repeat and get you to beat me. So
I feel like that might have been the case.
Yeah, no.
You weren't sure that peeling off a couple of 90s would have been enough to get the job done.
Been there, done that over the last 12 months, but that's another story. Yeah. So look, good news, but also that then I guess there's a couple of questions then which I'm going to, when my doctor gets back, he gets back on the 5th of May, I'll have a chat to him about, and also the physio that I'm seeing in that, potentially what could it be? Like it's, if there's nothing, if the scans haven't showed anything, then sort of what is it, and why am I getting pain in that part of the joint? And it's only a very specific movement that where there's pain, and unfortunately it's at that transition point. Yep. At the top of the swing where you've transitioned from your backswing to your downswing, and there is pressure from the golf club on your trail, on the thumb of your trail arm, and that pressure in pushing the thumb back, that's where the pain is and that's where the discomfort is. So it's a very specific movement where I'm getting a little bit of discomfort. However, again, another good thing is I have done, been getting a little bit of practice swings and the like in the High Performance Center. I did hit probably 4 or 5 shots late last week, and it didn't hurt. I could feel it, and there was still a little bit of discomfort there. These are full swings with a 6-iron and a 7-iron. I didn't sort of get to the driver and the fairway, but there was a little bit of discomfort there. I could feel it, but it wasn't pain. So it wasn't like when I that last comp run that I played that I had to pull out. Like that was really painful. Like and the pain was quite acute for sort of 10, 15 seconds after I swung. Whereas this, I could feel it. There was very, very small amount of discomfort, but I feel as though I'm improving, which is a good thing. And certainly, there's no pain when I'm just having a slow practice swing, which again is sort of part of what I'm doing at the moment.
Well, that's something. I think, the mystery on this one is understanding what is it that's causing that fluid or inflammation on the joint. There's obviously something that's amiss, but anyway, it's positive.
Yeah,
it's positive.
That's sort of what I feel like it is. That it's got something to do with. I mean, it can be the only thing that the little bit of fluid in that first joint and perhaps some inflammation there. That's Apart from that, there was nothing else that the scan showed.
Well, that's positive. All right, we'll stay tuned on that. So let's, I suppose, get into the how to keep your game rocking and rolling during injury and some top tips to play your best golf. Where would you like to start, Andy Walker?
Well, I mean, what I was just talking about, one of the main things I've been doing, and this is, I haven't even been going out into the High Performance Center for this. I've been doing it in the front living room. Sort of rumpus room in that, grabbing because I've got the stack stick in my office. That's sort of at the moment permanently living in the office. So I just grabbed that and just making quite slow, focusing on positions, the different positions that I want to be in throughout my swing, and obviously being quite careful that that I'm not putting any undue pressure on that thumb joint, but then just working through those positions in my swing. And I sort of feel like, even though I haven't been making many full swings, that I've been making progress with making some swing changes. I do remember reading about Max Homer. Max Homer does a bit of like shadow swinging in the mirror, where he just checks his positions and checks where he is. So it's sort of like that, except I obviously don't have the mirror, and it's with the stack that I've been doing it. So I still feel as though I'm making some progress, even though it's not actually on the range or in the high performance center on the simulator making full swings.
There's a coach, I would love to be able to remember who it is, but I remember reading a methodology which I thought was really out there. But anyway, this particular coach was talking about one of the first steps that he takes when working with firstly when working with a student that's doing a swing change, but also with working with a student that's trying to identify flaws in the swing. So kind of both ends of the spectrum. And the first step is to do super slow-mo swings.
Yep.
Like swings of a duration of about 30 seconds. Like super slow-mo of really, slowly moving through and exaggerating every move. And apparently that was just really exposing where the flaws were coming in, but then also it was a really good way of starting to make sure that when you're putting a new move together that you're actually sequencing it in the right way.
Yep.
So, I mean, I guess from the sound of things, you're almost doing that kind of an activity, maybe not that slow. Maybe you will try some that slow, but, doing the slow motion stuff, there's definitely a place in that to make sure that you're getting all the moves right.
Yeah, well, I unfortunately don't have a mirror still in the new place that we've moved to at the moment. However, in our previous place, we did have a couple of mirrors, which I did, after listening to what Max Homer had to say. I did do a little bit of mirror work, which is pretty helpful, because it gives you it's not the same as video, but it gives you a similar perspective to video in that you can actually see quite clearly where the positions you're in, and gives you a bit of an understanding of some of the flaws that you've got, and they are quite slow. Like I wouldn't say they're 30 seconds, but they're probably 10 to 15 seconds in the mirror. So I find that technique quite helpful. So I can understand how that would be a technique that would be useful, especially for golfers who don't necessarily understand their swing that well. Swinging without a club in the mirror, just taking their time and just trying to feel where they are, and then I guess sort of look in the mirror just to check. We talked about the whole feel versus real myth a couple of weeks back when we did the golf myths, and I can see the value in that technique. It's something that I think would be quite useful.
Good tip. I think I might give that one a go as well. That's probably one for everyone to write down. Is do some super slow-mo work and see what the swing looks like, see what the swing feels like, and maybe trying to get into some different positions. And certainly it might be a really good one actually to work on with the takeaway, getting that plane right, because that's quite often quite difficult.
Yeah, and if you can align yourself up, certainly if you've got a full length mirror, that's obviously ideal. But if you can line yourself up so that you can, and I know that Justin Thomas talks about this, if he feels that if he can get the club head outside the line of his hands, that's a really good sort of feel for him to make a good swing. And I know that certainly gets you in a really good position to get up to the top and then slot it on the inside and have that lower plane on your downswing than your backswing. And I know we talk about that a lot. So having a mirror and being able to just see that position in your swing, again, very useful, and I can see that has a lot of advantages.
Well, you would have seen a little video that I sent you, a snippet from the High Performance Centre this evening, which was the result of working on exactly that move with exactly that drill, which I'll be talking about in a moment. And it's amazing. Good stuff. What else?
So what about yourself? You're just talking about the that drill. So given we're on the topic, tell me about that drill that you've been doing, because I think again that's something that could be incorporated into some game improvement while you're injured.
Oh, absolutely. And I will talk about that. And I think before I go into the detail of that, just to say my kind of development area at the moment, I've split into 5 key elements. One being short game, specifically around tempo. One being striking of irons, which is what we'll talk about with this particular drill. Another being putting, which is split into 2 parts. There's the mechanics, so working on some putting drills. But then there's also, as the 4th area, is specifically green reading techniques, which we'll talk about. And then the last element is around mind and body work, which is always a favourite topic of ours. So we might jump into the iron striking, because that's really what this one's about. And there's two simple things that I'm working on at the moment that I've chosen to go with, and I actually think this is probably a perfect opportunity over the next week or so to film a YouTube short, Andy Walker, and throw that out there for the pilgrims. Some stories from the High Performance Centre, perhaps.
Nice.
So it gets called a number of different things, but the name that I've probably heard more is the L to L drill. So if you imagine the shape of your arms, you're taking your backswing, your arms to parallel, so the club with a bit of wrist hinges just pointing vertical. And that's the feel. And then so it's sort of it's a truncated half swing essentially. So you're getting the backswing to there, and then the through swing is the opposite of that, when your follow through gets your arms to parallel. So you're not making a full swing. You're just doing this sort of parallel to parallel. The things to work on with this, and why it's really, really useful, it's about developing depth in the swing. So the idea is, on the takeaway, to do exactly what you're talking about, your first checkpoint is making sure that when the club's at parallel, pointing back, that club head is slightly outside the hands. And then when you're getting to parallel, that you've got full extension on the arm, so that you're actually reaching as far away and getting as much depth in the backswing as you can. And then coming through, so you get the weight transition to the front, try and make sure you're compressing the strike, and then depth and depth is probably the wrong word, but as much length in that in the arms through the follow through space, so that you're not
extension.
Yeah, that would be the word. So that you're not chicken winging it. So that's really that drill. It's one that I'm told Tiger did a lot of. And swore by, or his coach made him do a lot of. I don't think Tiger actually enjoyed it that much, but
I believe there's a fair bit that Bush Harmon used to get Tiger to do that he didn't really like that much, but he still sort of dug in and did it.
He did it. Sean Foley, who was his coach for a while as well, he has done a video on this, which we've talked about in previous episodes, that I come back to from time to time. He did it with me and my golf guys, and it actually is a really much better explanation than I'm ever going to give. But it's one that I find when I'm not striking my irons brilliantly, and we covered this around the Macquarie Cup, that there's been some challenges with that. And obviously my iron striking was one of my weakest areas over those 2 days. This is a drill that I need to come back to, because where I go wrong, and I think I'm the poster child for probably 80% of amateur golfers is getting the takeaway to the inside, getting quick in transition, not having the depth in the swing. That then leads to, can lead to either a slide over the top move, which I don't generally have too much of an issue with my irons, but potentially a little bit of early extension on the way down. And that leads to the toe striking and, missing the low points, so hitting things thin, hitting things fat, which has all of the issues that are associated with it. So that's where this drill is so good for ironing out some of those flaws through the impact zone, which is the bit that counts in the golf swing.
Nice. Yeah.
So, that's been fun.
Yeah, look, I've also been doing something not quite the same, but something similar, or to at least get a similar result, in that from the top of my swing, I've been focused on getting extension out, like away from the target with my hands. So I've got my at the start of the transition, when my hips are in that forward lateral move, having my hands and the grip effectively moving away from the target to again get that extension, get that width, something that Rory McIlroy is exceptionally good at doing, and that's how he generates a lot of his clubhead speed, is just getting that extension and that that width in your swings. So again, it's got a fairly similar effect in that I find that it also gets my club head on a really good plane when I do it, because again, we've talked about my issues with the over the top and early extension, and that is what I find it's assisting that process as well.
Yep, that makes a lot of sense. I think the caveat and probably the trap, if you don't do it right, because I'm just visualizing that move, you got to keep wrist hinge and lag on the club, because if you do that move slightly wrong, then you would risk casting at that point and throwing the club head from the top, which is not what you're talking about. But I could imagine that feel. Again, that feel versus real, thinking that you're doing that move of getting the extension and more depth in that before the downswing starts, just making sure that you keep that wrist cock. Otherwise,
if anything, the wrist cock is increasing. It's not decreasing as you would with a cast. It's actually the wrist cock is increasing during that short period of time in that transition.
So you're almost visualizing that the club head stays where it is, but your hands are pushing away.
Correct. Yeah. Very similar.
Yeah. Interesting. But look, they're really, really good drills. And it's not, and the thing I like about it is not about getting up there and just smacking balls and trying to hit balls hard.
And in fact, it's not.
It's the opposite.
You don't actually have a ball in front of you. You're just practicing positions throughout your swing that you want to get into.
Yeah. The other thing that I find with this is then when I am using this and hitting balls, because that is also part of it, but is doing it at about probably 70 max 80% of swing speed, not trying to hit the ball hard. It's a little bit reminiscent of what we were talking about in the Macquarie Cup of doing that, clubbing up an easy swing. And I think part of that as well is building club face control. As much as anything else, which is really something that I've been trying to work on. So that's been the major drill. The other part of it for iron striking, which again, happy to put together a YouTube short in good time on this. Not promising any deadlines, Pilgrims, but we'll get there at some point. Is the understanding where on the club face that you're hitting the ball. So using the good old $7 can of spray on
the foot spray
for a bit of white powder on the club face, so that you really actually start to understand where you're hitting the ball. And it's not just heel to toe bias. That's probably the most important part, but it's also really, really interesting to see which groove, like how high on the club face you start hitting the ball, because that kind of gives an indication of your ground contact as well. If the ball's getting too high on the club face, you're probably, even though it's forgiving on the mat in the indoor setup, but in an outdoor setup, that's probably a fat shot. So, making sure that you're kind of hitting that at about, grooves 3 to 5, something like that, I think is the optimum level. So that's a super good piece of training feedback during a session to get a bit of an understanding on what your general miss is, like what the traits of your swing is. Do you hit it toe bias? Do you hit it heel bias? Do you hit it high? Do you hit it low? So some of those areas are interesting to look at, and you can see where improvement's coming into. So those two drills work hand in hand.
Yep. Well, the next thing that I've been working on, and I know you touched on this as well, is short game tempo. And again, not doing anything with the ball in front of me, but specifically using the Tour Tempo app to be able to work on my short game tempo. So then with the tones, it's the 2-to-1 tones rather than the 3-to-1 for a full swing. And again, and this is in the High Performance Center, so on my practice mat, and just having the tones of the Tour Tempo app going while I'm practicing my short game, and again working on technique, working on certain positions that I want to get into in my pitching and chipping, but then also coming back to the Tour Tempo app and making sure that my tempo is on the ball as well.
Yeah, it's a good one. I was having a play with that earlier. I have downloaded and signed up to Tour Tempo. And it's one of those things. I think we love an app that just does the one thing you want it to, but does it really well.
Yeah. And it does. It does that fantastically well.
Yeah. It's really good. It's really simple and it's really useful. So my question for you, Andy Walker, on the short game tones.
Yep.
What is the ratio that you're using? Is it the 16-8 or what is the one that you're using?
No, it's the quickest one. Just let me.
Yeah. Okay.
Jump into the app and have a look at what it is. No, it's the 14.7 is the one that I'm using. Yeah. So I'm not. I did try the 16.8, but for me and where I'm having historically where I've had the most difficulties with my short game is closer to the green rather than, the 60, 70 yard shots. So for me, the 14.7 having a bit of a quicker tempo, obviously you don't get the chance to take the club back as far as what you otherwise would have. So yeah, for me, the 14.7 works really well for what I need it to be.
Yeah. Okay. So I was having a bit of a practice with it in the High Performance Center this afternoon, and toying between those two tempos. I think any of the other ones are just getting too slow. And they might be fine if you're, say 60 meters or so out.
What I think they're good at is maybe if you're trying to practice, say, a flop shot, and you just need to
more length.
You just need a little bit of a slower tempo and a little bit more length in the swing.
Yeah. Have you used the feature on the Tour Tempo app where you analyze your own video?
No, I haven't done that.
So, thoroughly recommend it. Okay, because I used it this afternoon because I was practicing the 16.8 and I was hitting. I mean, I don't know because I was hitting into the net, but I was hitting what I would anticipate is about, say, probably 25 to 30 meter pitches. Roughly.
So you were hitting a ball while you were doing it?
I was hitting a ball. Yeah, into the net. And it's great. Was trying to groove in that tempo, and then I thought I'll try without the tones.
Yep.
And do the video analysis. So the way the video analysis works, you can either just import a video that you've taken at another time, or you can video one in real time, which is what I did. and then it gets you to, and it's super slow mo, so you go frame by frame, and you tap start as your club is starting to move away from the ball. You clap, and then there's little buttons on the top of the screen. You tap top when you get to your transition point, and obviously impact when you're hitting the ball. And it then gives you your ratio of what your actual swing was.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Which is awesome.
Yeah. Yep.
So doing it without the tones, I'd been practicing on 16.8, and I videoed 2 different swings then shortly afterwards. One of them was 15.8 and one of them was 17.8.
Right. Okay. Well, so the average is
16.8, yeah, of course. Average of 2, yeah. But it was actually a really, really cool feature. I would thoroughly recommend using it.
I'll have to have a look at that.
Yeah, and just checking out. So part of it, and this is again like the app's really, it's about doing the one thing, which is about sorting out your tempo. Part of it's the practice element, which is using the tones, and then using the video analysis. You can actually then measure yourself when you're not listening to the tones and see if you're actually doing it when you're hitting a ball, and that's cool.
Yep. See, the other thing, the other thing that you can do with Tour Tempo app, which they talk about, is work on your swing speed. Now, obviously, I've got the stack as well, which I've used, but I've done a little bit of work with the Tour Tempo app, because with a full swing, I generally work off the 21.7 tones, whereas I'd really like to try and get closer to the 18.6 just to see if I can get sort of a slightly quicker tempo. So that's another thing that obviously at the moment with where my injury and thumb is, it's not appropriate, but yeah, that's certainly one thing that I've had in the back of my mind that the Tour Tempo app does, that I think would be beneficial.
It would be, for sure. Before we get off the short game topic, there's a couple of other elements that I am going to be adding into this training, because I'd see this as just so important. It's the biggest low-hanging fruit for my game at the moment. And it shouldn't be particularly difficult just to get this right, and it could easily drop a few shots. But so there's that element, which is working on the tempo side of it. I would also like to integrate the use of the R10 for some distance calibration. Using those tempos. And we were talking, I can't remember if it was during an episode or off air, but we were talking about the function of one of the launch monitors. I think it might even be the R50. I don't know if the Square does it or the. But it's the random pitching.
That's the Square.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's cool. Obviously, the R10 doesn't do that, but I've come across another method for doing it.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
Andy Walker, and he's rolling 2 dice.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
Okay. So you roll 2 dice, and you got 2 numbers, and it might come out as 23, or it might come out as 66, or 11, or anything in between. So actually throwing the dice, that's your number. Pitch to that, and just to gamify that process a little bit.
Nice.
So that's one to report back on that we'll be working on in future sessions in the high performance center. But for anyone that doesn't necessarily then have, if you've got a way of measuring your distances, that's cool. But if you don't have one that's going to spit out random numbers that you need to have as a target, just use a couple of dice. It's a very simple way of doing it.
Yes.
Or if you've got a child, get your kid to sit there and just yell out 2-digit numbers anywhere between 20 and 60. So here's an option.
Yeah, unfortunately at the moment I don't have access to a working launch monitor, so
that's one to stay tuned on.
I'm going to have a look at my setup, because in my previous place I had my setup in the garage, but now the high performance center is actually in a 6 by 3.5 meter aluminium shed, and the Doppler radar struggles a little bit when it's surrounded by metal. So yeah, the R10 just went, you know what? No, I'm not working.
No. We'll work at the range though, if you ever get out to the range. And that's one of the good things about the Doppler radar setups is that they do work quite nicely outside as well.
Yeah. No, I'll probably move towards something like the Square. I'd expect. I've done a little bit of research on that now, and that seems to be a pretty good device.
Yeah, it looks cool. I'm really interested to see how you go. So that's a good one. Putting, Andy Walker. Should we talk about putting?
Yeah. Well, again, that's an area of my game that I've been doing a little bit of work on, both out in the high performance center, but also inside as well. It's a good one to have again with the putter just right next to the desk, and just if you need to jump up every hour and do a bit of a stretch to the legs, you can also do a little bit of putting as well. And for me, most of it's been on short putting and inside 6 feet, and just working on technique. Quite interesting, and we talked about this a little bit when I was out at Dubbo for the Macquarie Cup, and the challenges I'm having with my putting technique at the moment, in that I've traditionally with the broomstick used my right arm, so everything else is immobile, and I will use my right arm to basically use it as a pendulum. But I've found, and I've always found this, that my face balanced Ping B90 broomstick putter, I'm always fighting against it. I'm fighting against that face balance, and I find that I hit a lot of putts left. So I'm trying to keep the club face open in the backswing, which is just completely against what a face balance putter will do. So I've been fighting against that for quite a while now. But I watched a YouTube University video with Adam Scott.
Here we go.
Yeah, with Adam Scott, and the way he uses his lab putter. And the way Adam Scott uses his lab putter is he basically has his arms immobilized and uses his shoulders to basically move the putter head. So I've been working on more using my shoulders and just getting that triangle in between, sort of, with my arms and my shoulders, and just trying to keep that triangle shape through my backswing and follow through. And it seems to be working. I mean, I haven't tried it actually on a putting green yet, but certainly on the putting mat, I feel as though I'm keeping the putter face square through impact and in the follow through of the putter stroke, which to me potentially could be a bit of a fundamental shift in the way that my putting technique works. So there's been a little bit of even though I haven't been able to get out there and play golf and practice on an actual putting green, it's still given me the opportunity to work on my game and maybe come up with a couple of improvements.
So there's two things to this. Before I get onto those two things, firstly, I'll say theoretically that all does make sense and should certainly help. First thing that I would say is there's nothing stopping you, even with this injury, of going down to the short game practice area at your home club and actually doing some putting practice. Yeah,
that is true. That is true. I mean, if I'm putting on a mat at home, there's no reason why I can't be putting on a putting green.
That's right.
I mean, the weather hasn't necessarily been that conducive to getting out and doing anything on a golf course. In fact, my home club is currently closed at the moment because of the wet weather. But you're right. Yes, there's nothing stopping me from getting out onto the practice putting green and practicing.
Which I think would be good to do when it stops raining. The second thing is I just genuinely think that you will get so much benefit out of a session on the Sam Putt Lab. in getting yourself to, whether it's Club Champion down in Alexandria or somewhere like that that's got access to a machine like that, because it doesn't have to specifically just be about the putter fitting itself, but what you learn about your stroke is just amazing.
Yep. Yep.
And
yep.
and it's not guessing anymore. It's like it's actually actual knowledge.
Yeah, and having seen you go through that process and the improvements that you've made in your putting stroke, I can definitely see the benefits of going through that process.
Like, it's just crazy. It really is. Like, and to anyone listening, I can't spruik this highly enough of getting to a place that's got one of those machines, because if you get a putter fitted to your stroke, it makes such a difference. Like, I now feel like I've got so much more, not just control over the club face, but actual like feedback from the club face as well when it's not right. Like, I can feel exactly what's going on because I'm not fighting it. Like there's a lot. There seems to be a lot more feel in it than what there was before. But also, I now understand my tendencies, which I did not have any idea about before. I didn't know what I was doing. I just knew that things weren't always working right. But I now know what's driving that, why it's happening, and therefore you can do more to improve it. It's mate, it's next level. Absolutely can't recommend it highly enough. And it's about, I think the fitting process itself was about $150, something like that. So it's like, it's money super well spent. Like I say, even if you don't buy a putter at the end of it, just to get that knowledge about what goes on in your game, thoroughly recommend.
Yeah, and look, I'd like to get those insights. I think it would be of benefit because at the moment I'm sort of having a bit of a guess as to what I can be doing to be able to, and I'm bending my technique to the putter.
Yeah,
I have to admit that as well.
Yeah,
that's painfully obvious that I've been fighting the broomstick in the way that the B90 works, for quite a while now. So, and that's potentially why sometimes I feel as though I'm putting really, really well and I can hole a lot of good putts, but then I'll go out on another day and it's terrible.
And that's exactly what's going to happen, right? Like, there's two things. If you're fighting against the piece of equipment and you've got to make compensations for it, well, then your consistency is going to diminish. But the other thing that's going to happen is you break down under pressure. So, neither of those things are good.
No.
So, putting's hard enough. Don't make it harder. Anyway, my view. I think I genuinely think that's a must do for you in the near future.
Yeah. I agree. I'm on board with that.
Yeah, and you'll love it. Like, you'll geek out so bad on all the data. It's so cool. And the guys there, they know what they're on about. Like, they are all, the majority of them are, sort of ex professionals, either club professionals or touring professionals. Like, they actually genuinely know.
Well, having been in the finance and accounting industry for the last 15 years, I don't mind. You don't mind a number.
Yeah, but it blew me away how many metrics you can take on a putting stroke.
Yeah, right.
Like, it's crazy, but there's a lot, and they all mean something slightly different.
Yeah. So again, that's sort of where I'm at with my putting and where I think my improvement opportunities are, which I'm working through while I'm in the current position. So what about yourself? What are you doing?
Yeah. There's two things. So for me, and I'll split this into putting drills. So actual, like, the hitting of putts, the mechanics of hitting putts, and the green reading element, because I think we made it really, really clear in the last episode when we talked at Macquarie Cup that my mechanics are now pretty good with the putter, but my green reading probably isn't as good as it could be. We'll come to that in a minute.
Just quietly.
Yeah, I know. You're a believer. That's fine.
Yeah.
What I've started working on the putting drills, and what I want to do, again, I've got the mat here in the living room at the moment, which is great, and it's tempting to just stand there and hit putts, for half an hour whilst you've got the golf on the TV or whatever else. And it's a 3 metre putting mat, so it's tempting to just go to the 3 metre point and hit 3 metre putts.
Yeah.
That's great, but that's not necessarily achieving anything. What I've come up with is a challenging little system to work on some of the mechanics, but to put pressure and to gamify and to make it a bit of a challenge. And I will probably play around with this and change this a little bit, and I can already imagine some changes that I'll give to this. But anyway, this is what I've been doing for this week, and that is starting off with 3-footers, hit, and I've got the like the practice hole, the little thing, the metal thing that the ball rolls in and the bits flip up and it goes in. It's such a great explanation.
It's very technical.
Yeah. Anyway, that little thing. So if you make a putt or miss a putt, I guess is the point.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, you could have anyway, doesn't matter. So the idea is sink consecutively 20 3-footers.
Yep.
Which is pretty easy. And then move to 5 foot and sink 10 5-footers. And then move to 7 feet, which is about 2 meters. And sink 10 7-footers. And if you miss any of them, like it could be the 10th crack at 7 feet. If you miss any of them, start again.
Yep.
20 3-footers, 10 5-footers, 10 7-footers. It's not hard, but it gets hard because when you want to finish, and if you miss one and you've got to start again and hit another 40 putts, that can be really irritating. So it puts some pressure on the last few. Yeah. What I will probably do,
if you're doing that in a lunch break,
there's pressure. What I will probably do to introduce change is move from 3-footers, 7-footers, 5-footers randomly rather than incrementally going the 3, 5, 7. But anyway,
well, I mean, either that, or you could even do, the David McClellan type of drill where you've got 3 balls and you go, 3 from 2 foot, 3 from 4 foot, 3 from 6 foot, and you've got a whole, 4 rounds of 3 foot, 2 foot, 4 foot.
It's all it's similar stuff, and I think that one, when you're on an outdoor green and you can go from all 3 sides and you've got a bit more break. I mean, these are all predominantly straight putts indoors. So it's about grooving in a straight putting stroke that I'm actually, hitting the hole every time, which is my aim point. So it's removing that variable of, of the green and the break and those elements, which I think when you bring that in, this is probably not the best drill. When you're in an outdoor green, you'd want to rethink it and probably go down the Dave McClellan path would be the go. But I've found that it's actually been really good. It's been a lot, quite challenging. It gives a bit of purpose to the putting practice rather than just rolling putts for the sake of rolling putts.
Yep.
But green reading, I know that's what you want to hear about.
Well, I've got my methodology, so I'm interested to hear what yours is.
Yeah. So where I'm heading on this, from the reading that I've done, and again, pilgrims, if you disagree, please get in touch and tell us what you think. But there seems to be 2 leading methodologies on green reading that a lot of the pros are using. Aim point being one of them.
Yep.
It's really obvious that you're using it because you're standing there straddling the line, sticking your fingers in the air and doing all those sorts of things that people love to ridicule. The other one, which is actually quite similar for a lot of parts of it, but there are a few differences as I'm learning, is called tour read.
Yes. Yep.
And that's the path I'm going to go down for the time being. And the reason for that is because you're already going down the aim point path. So for the benefit of the pilgrims, it might be good if we did something different.
Well, interesting because I did actually look at both methodologies, and aim point did make a little bit more sense to me than tour read. I haven't looked too far into it, but I'm actually really interested to see how you go with it.
So am I. So I've only at this point done the research. I will be striking a blow with Tua Reed probably over the weekend,
Nice.
and purchasing the app and going from there and seeing what it's all about.
Nice. Yep.
So I think, look, it's positive because it's a process. So it's not, I think everything else which is out there is a bit wishy-washy insofar as, there's, and I'm certainly not going to go down the plumb bob route.
No. Well, I think the plumb bob route has some inaccuracies anyway.
Yes.
There are some. Yeah, I'm not a. I used to plumb bob in certain conditions, but not always. And it's got some limitations, but I certainly think that having a methodology, having a process, is just going to put a framework around what you're doing, and rather than just being randomized, which I sort of think was a little bit what you were doing, getting some sort of process and methodology to work within, I think you're going to see pretty significant results, and a lot of improvement.
Yeah, I mean, I benefited enormously from your aim point expertise during the Macquarie Cup, and that actually was a bit of an eye opener because you're right. Like if not random, like my green readings generally been, it's going to go a bit left, it's going to go a bit right. Is it a cup? Is it 2 cups? It's the general area aim point rather than the specific point at which to aim. So, both of these methodologies, they both address that, and they both give you specific aiming points. And I think that is definitely, the right thing to do. We'll see if it works. We'll report back.
Yeah, and look, with aim point, I mean, I don't always use the fingers to be able to decide on what my line is. I mean, I use my feet a lot more, and I'm getting better at using my feet, but I don't always use my fingers. And to be honest, sometimes, when I do use the fingers, I'll then look at it again. I'll go, no, that's not right. I feel as though there's more or there's less. So there is a little bit of feel to it as well. So there are some subtleties there. So it's not a hard and fast, oh no, I'm using 2 fingers, so that's my aim point, which is sort of what the course content says. There's also some I find some limitations as with aim point as well, especially when there's break either in the first part of the putt and it flattens out, or what I found to be the most challenging part is if the first part of the putt is flat and then within sort of 3 feet of the hole there is a fair bit of turn. So that's where I sort of feel as though aim point does have a few limitations, and you've got to adapt in those conditions and be able to identify where those limitations and when those conditions aren't necessarily exactly what's in the training course. So, and I think that just happens over time with some trial and error. But I feel as though I've had enough experience now to be able to understand a lot of the time when that's happening.
Yeah, and like anything, I think it improves over time. The more that you do it, the better you get at it. It's a skill you got to build. Not just innately good Absolutely. At it or bad at it, but it's a skill that you can build. So that's exciting, and that's quite a lot really to work on. The last part, the last element that I mentioned, which was mind and body, is really pretty simple, to be perfectly honest. It's remembering the breath work and the connected breathing exercises and bringing those out. And that's actually, interestingly enough, that's something that we didn't ever talk about during the Macquarie Cup rounds. And there were probably some moments to do that, particularly on day 2, late on day 2. So that was just a good reminder, reflecting on that's sort of dropped off the being front of mind a little bit. And then also, from a body perspective, is just that age-old challenge of dropping a couple of kilos and, focusing on getting up in the morning and doing a bit of exercise before the day starts.
And to be honest with you,
Not
that's
rocket
an
science.
area that where I've dropped the ball a little bit as well, in that I've stacked on a bit of weight and with the school holidays. I took my kids down to see my folks in the first week of the school holidays. Then I came out to Dubbo over Easter. Then we've had
I know.
the Anzac Day long weekend in Australia. My son's birthday was last week as well, and it's just been it's been great. And I think you need to have those times, a bit of a sort of festival type of period in my life. But I've also, stacked on about sort of 5 kilos, and
It's so easy to do.
getting into the mid 90s, which is very, very heavy for me. That's 90 kilos, obviously. I don't know what that converts to in pounds. But
I do. So it's just over 90. So it's like 90.8 or 90.5 or something like that is 200 pounds.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, I'm well over that.
You're probably in the 210, 212 range, something like that.
Yeah.
It's not ideal.
No, it's not great. So yeah, my focus is going to be back on,
especially when you're only 4'9" tall.
Yeah, well, I think I'm a bit taller than that.
Just making sure the pilgrims are still listening.
Yeah. So yeah, and the other thing as well is the whole mindfulness and meditation. Again, I haven't really done too much of that over the last couple of weeks, so that's an area that I've had in the back of my mind that I need to re-engage with, because I found a lot of benefit from working on that side of my game as well, and that flows through not just to my golf game and how I'm feeling on a golf course. That flows through into life and how I'm viewing life. And I've had a few little things come up over the last few months, which has been challenging, and I've felt as though I've been able to deal with those a lot better than what I previously would have.
No, it's good. It's good. I mean, look, that's a lot. Like those lists that we've been through, these are things that we're trying to do on a daily and weekly basis, and just talking about it's taken about an hour.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
So like it's not easy, and I think that's part of it as well. Like this takes me back to some Voice of the Pilgrims feedback from Ted from Mollymook. Where I think when we were talking about one of the elements of planning for development is actually flexibility and cutting yourself some slack when things don't necessarily go to plan. Ted was not a fan of that lack of accountability, which is a fair point. But I still believe that on a daily basis that if there's a lot of other stuff going on in our worlds, and this is the same for everybody. There's family, there's work, there's all sorts of pressures that sort of drag your time away. But if you can, if you had the goal to do 5 of those elements on a daily basis, but you just got one of them done, it's better than nothing.
Yeah. I agree with that. And I mean, at the end of the day, while yes, I agree with goal setting, and you've got to be very specific with goal setting and planning. At the end of the day, life happens at times, and we've seen that over different periods, even just in the time that we've been doing the podcast. There's stuff just happens, and it's the old saying: you've got to play what's in front of you. So there are times where you've got to go, well, that didn't go according to plan, so let's recalibrate, look at the goals again. Maybe move some time frames around if the original time frames aren't going to work, and then crack on. But yeah, I think you've got to understand that not everything's going to go according to plan.
Nothing does. And to be honest with you, it's one of the big lessons I think I've learned over the sort of 18 months it is now that we've been doing the show, is not trying to overload the expectations of what I'm going to be doing as a development plan. And I know, I have been guilty of that. And what happens as a result is that you're not doing it, and you kind of start to feel like you're failing, and that's a real demotivating headspace to get in.
Yeah.
And so trying to look at this and go, all right, here's a bunch of things. I'm not going to do it all every day. Here's a bunch of things that I'm going to pick one or two. And some days you get super motivated and you do all of it and you have a great day. Other days when you go, I'm only just going to be able to squeeze in, 15 minutes, 30 minutes. Let me pick one of these. And it doesn't always have to be the same one. In fact, it shouldn't be. And, like you just so long as you're doing something that's moving you a step further down the road, I think that's critical.
Yep. Yeah, I agree with that.
So that's sort of my cut myself some slack attitude, to not have a slack attitude, but to, allow myself to at least still be doing something rather than feeling like I'm failing if I don't do everything.
Yeah. And I think, again, we talk about acceptance a lot on the podcast, and it's having that acceptance mentality of while you may have a shot in your mind, you also accept that there's a varied outcome that's on the table and possible.
100%, yeah. But I'm also, after saying all of that, waiting with bated breath on the critical feedback from Ted from Mollymook that's no doubt going to come our way.
Well, Ted from Mollymook is actually not in the country at the moment, so you might have to wait a little bit before we get any feedback from him.
Doesn't mean he's not listening.
That is true.
You do realise that you can access this show globally. I mean,
can you?
Yeah. Actually, we're up to 48 countries now.
48?
Yeah.
So we've almost cracked the half ton.
Yeah, 48 countries. The Maldives has been added to the list, so that's nice. Exciting. Not sure there's that many golf courses there, but I don't know. I have to look into
is there a golf course in the Maldives?
There's not a lot of space for one. Could be. There could be a resort course somewhere there. I'm not sure. Maybe it was a regular listener on holidays. Who's to know? But
that sounds a little bit more plausible.
Here's a trivia question for you, Andy Walker. Do you know how many countries there are in the world?
No.
Do you want to have a guess?
in a word? I don't know. What? I don't know, 170, 180, is it?
It's not a bad guess, actually. According to officially recognised countries by the UN, it's 195.
Oh, wow. Okay. Right.
There is another argument, though, that it's actually 206, and then when you include unofficial territories, that it becomes 251. But it's 195 officially recognised countries by the UN. So the fact that we're in 48 of them, it's about 25% of the world.
So a country that's not recognised. So what is that? Just like something where someone's actually like taken?
No. And I'm glad you asked us for an example.
Because obviously there are obvious examples, certainly in the Asia Pacific region that of territories. I mean, Taiwan's probably a pretty good example.
Taiwan is the example. Taiwan is the example, which is certainly self-determined and is considered by many other countries, Australia included, as a country. However, not recognised by the UN because China has the right of veto on that. So is considered a Chinese territory according to the UN. We're getting a little bit down the international politics path here, but then you've also got territories, for example. And if we wanted to pick out a territory that might be a separate area that's managed by a particular country. So let's look at Macquarie Island, McDonald Islands, Heard Island, some of the Antarctic areas that are managed by Australia that would potentially have their own autonomy if there was anyone other than penguins living on them, and have still been slapped with tariffs in and of themselves. So
I wasn't going to mention that, but yes, they have been.
But that's a story for another day, just in case the penguins are thinking about getting themselves involved in international trade.
There was a meme that I saw somewhere about a mass protest on one of the, might have been McDonald Island.
I think it was,
and and it was just a massive penguins, which I thought was rather amusing that they were protesting the implementation of tariffs.
They're not happy about it. They're really not. But that's okay. So anyhow,
what about Norfolk Island? Is that considered? I mean, that's a territory of Australia.
It's an Australian territory. I'm not sure. Maybe it probably would be, because Norfolk has actually sent its own teams to the Commonwealth Games. I know this randomly because my uncle represented Norfolk Island in the Commonwealth Games in lawn bowls many moons ago. Rest his soul, no longer with us. So yeah, Norfolk could be an example. Yep.
There you go.
Yeah. So 48 countries we're in.
48 out of 195.
195 officially.
Or
yeah.
205 or however many you'd like to designate.
Yeah, depending on how you look at it. So anyway, there you go. There's a little bit of random geography trivia for you, Andy Walker. You learned something tonight.
As I always do.
Yeah.
Each week.
Likewise. Pilgrims, hopefully you did too. And at an hour and 25, crikey, that got away from us. I reckon.
I think there's a lot there, though. I think there's a lot of information, a lot of good information, and certainly good information where you don't actually need to be either on a range or even have a golf ball in front of you to be able to still work on your golf improvement journey. I mean, there's a lot of things stuff out there that you can be doing to improve.
It could be a topic for a future episode, actually, is the CEO series. Because we did the episode on being the CEO of your own game. Maybe we do the one on how to improve your game in the office.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea.
Think about that. Pilgrims, let us know. Do you like that idea or not? But anyhow, that is, I think that's it for tonight. A reminder, go check out the YouTube channel, subscribe, do whatever you need to do to YouTube channels to make it work. I don't even know. And we will.
I think there's a subscribe button, and there's a little bell icon, I think, when you get notifications as well. Yeah.
Click the bell, and then that way that puts the pressure on for us to upload some more video.
Yeah. Yep.
That could be the go.
Yeah, we need to start doing more than that. A few YouTube shorts. I like the idea of that.
I do like that too, because A, they might be easier to edit and upload, and B, they might carry some additional content that actually we don't cover in the podcast series. Nice one. All right, Andy Walker. With all that in mind, what else do we need to remember or do?
Just one more thing to do. Rock out, Pilgrims.
Thanks for listening to us today. We love hearing from our pilgrims, so please reach out to us through any of the links in the show notes. We know golf is hard, so we hope we can help you shoot better scores and inspire you to keep trying. Rock on, pilgrims.